Hey guys, it's Edie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing well, and in today's video I am reading a very highly anticipated series, and you can probably tell by the title and the thumbnail, but I'm going to be starting Throne of Glass. It's actually time. It's time to start this series. Also, if you watched my last video you knew I had acrylic nails on. I don't have them on anymore. I had them at work and I possibly got them a bit too long in the first place anyway, and I kept catching them and they were just getting so overstimulated and being that long for me. So a spur of the moment, when I got home from work at midnight last night, I sat there for an hour pulling them off, and now they're really damaged, but it feels so much better. I really want to get Biap done. I think I'm going to do that. That's a little sidetrack. In this video I'm going to be reading 4 books, and then in the next one, part 2, I'm going to be reading the next 4. And I have chosen the order I'm going to read them in, because if you know this series and you know it on social media, you could say it's not controversial the order you read it in, but a lot of people have very strong opinions. And I've been doing my research, watching people's videos, recommendations, and I've chosen the order to read it in. And I'm going to be reading Throne of Glass first, and a lot of people like to read Assassin's Blade first because that's chronologically correct, yes, but I saw a video of someone saying this is the most impactful way, or the romantic order, and I'm reading it the romantic order, so I'm starting with Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, and then I'm going on to Assassin's Blade's last, well not last but 4th in the series, because I think some people read it after Crown of Midnight, some people read it first, and then some people read it after Heir of Fire. All the videos were saying as long as you read it before Queen of Shadows you're fine. So I want to do it the most upsetting way that will cause a lot of reactions, and that's kind of what I've gathered from reading it this way, and supposedly it's a romantic order. Don't know what that means, but that is what I like. So I'm going to start with Throne of Glass. I barely know anything about this series. know she's Selena is some sort of assassin. I don't really know. I've never even read the blurb of this book, so I think I'm going to read it and then I can kind of get an idea of what it's about, because literally zilch, no idea. It says, enter the realm, unleash the darkness, live the legends. In a land without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. Selena Sardothian has no love for the vicious king who rules his throne of glass. But she has not come to kill him, she has come to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 murderous thieves and warriors in deadly competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. But when something rotten dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill, when her competitors start dying mysteriously one by one, did I say it right? I don't even know. Fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, launching her desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world and the people she has come to love. Sometimes when I read the the fantasy book, I really can't speak today, I still don't get a great picture of what it is, but I guess that's kind of the whole idea. It's just a little teaser into it, but she's an assassin and she's in this warrior trial thing, has got to kill them all basically. So I'm probably going to come back to you guys maybe once I'm halfway through it. I don't really know how this video is going to go, but once I have some little updates for you of how I'm finding it, and then I'll keep you updated, because I feel like I'm either going to love this series or hate it. I'm really hoping I love it, because where is it? I think you can, no you can't see it. Right here I've got the Acrylic Picks special editions. I'll put them up on the screen here, and I spent a bit of money getting them because they had to get shipped from the US as well. So I'm really hoping I like the series, because otherwise I brought that and I'm gonna have to resell it. Well, I don't really want to resell it because it's so pretty, but if I don't like it I'm gonna resell it, because I can't keep special editions of books that I don't particularly love. But I'm really hoping I'm gonna love it. I just really want to, because it is such a beloved series by a lot of people, and I know it's not as romance heavy, it's more of a subplot in this book, the romance, but I'm still very intrigued and excited, so I'm just gonna start reading it now. So it's the next day and I'm roughly probably just coming up to halfway through. I'm on page 198, chapter 27. Let me just start off by saying a tiny bit about this book. I kind of read the blurb and basically that's what this book about. So far this book is following Selena. That's what I'm calling her. That's how I'm pronouncing it. But Selena, she's been like, she's like this really famous like assassin, and she's been like put away and she's working in a mine of some sort, I think, if I remember correctly. Can't really remember that part, but she's working there and she gets taken to the capital where she's been entered in these like almost like trial game things, and if she's going against 32 other people that have been chosen, and if she is the winner by the end, she gets basically freedom, essentially. If I remember correctly, it was something like that. I might be slightly wrong, but that was the gist of what I got. And I'm just going to start off by saying I do not hate this book, but I'm not loving it. I say I'm liking it, but when I first started reading it, it really took me a while to get into it. I remember I got to around 50 pages in, I was thinking, I don't think I can read this book, I think I need to DNF it. But then I started reading a couple more chapters, I got back into it, and then I think I got to that similar mindset like 80 pages in. I was thinking, oh, I really can't do this anymore. But then I persevered, I carried on, and it is getting better. But also, this is a YA book, and I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I believe Sarah J Maas wrote this book. This was the first ever book she wrote, and I believe she wrote it when she was 16. And I can kind of tell, not in a bad way, but I can tell this is very much written like very young. I don't know how else to describe it, but I can just like tell by the writing. And I am really liking the characters, I'm liking the storyline, and now that I'm roughly 200 pages in, I've kind of really gotten into it. I'm not fully invested and fully attached to the characters yet, but I can see myself being there, and I can see myself liking this book. I don't know if I'm gonna love it, but people have said this is probably their least favourite book out of the whole series, which is understandable. First books in the series can quite often be like that, so I'm trying to finish it. I'm gonna give it a benefit of the doubt, but also I think I spotted some like spelling mistake, grammar mistakes, I don't really know what you name it, and I'm dyslexic, so I never really notice anything in books. If there's like a spelling mistake, grammar, it goes like, I don't register it, rarely. I don't even think I've ever noticed any grammar spelling mistakes in books before, but it's happened twice in the past like 2 or 3 chapters. I took a picture of it, of each chapter. Let me get it up, because it was like chapter 24 and 26 I think it was, and I remember reading it and thinking, huh? That don't make sense. But I don't know if it doesn't make sense because I'm dyslexic and my brain isn't processing it right, or if it is like a mistake and shouldn't be like that. I'm gonna say what it is because these lines aren't really spoilers for anything. But chapter 24, the first line is, Selena lay on the bed. Shouldn't it be Selena lays on the bed? Because the whole sentence says, Selena lay on the bed, staring at a pool of moonlight on the floor. Shouldn't it be lays? Because it makes, well, in my brain it makes more sense to say Selena lays on the bed staring at a pool of moonlight on the floor. But also didn't make sense in my mind. She's laying on her bed, but she's staring at the floor. So is she laying on the bed, like on her stomach and looking at the floor over the side of the bed? But then I think that just didn't make sense in my brain, and that, I think, I don't know if that is like a grammar or spelling mistake, but I feel like lays should have an S on the end. I might put a picture up on the screen of the page, but it didn't make much sense when I was reading it. And then also, it was, the other one is chapter 26, and it's the first line again, or the first sentence of this chapter. And I'll probably put it on the screen again for this one if I did for the first one. And it says, the doors to her bedroom banged open, doors. But usually there's only one door in a bedroom and only one person was coming through, so why would it be doors and not door? That didn't make sense in my mind. Like, it should really say the door to her bedroom banged open and Selena was on her feet in an instant, a candlestick in her hand. Like, that didn't make sense in my mind. I don't know if it's just me, being dyslexic. I might be saying all this and it's meant to be like that and it's the correct grammar spelling, but to me, my mind, that didn't make sense when I read it. I was just like, I stood there for a second, I was like, am I really reading that? Or is it just my dyslexicness playing with myself? But I don't really know. That's what I kind of felt about that. But apart from that, it's good. It's not bad. It's not terrible, but it's not a favourite. But this series could have the potential of being a favourite. You just have to carry on. And I feel like, especially when they're long series, it takes a while to get into it, get into the story. And one thing I will say, I did see a TikTok and it said somebody was so confused while reading this book, and I can see why people were confused, because you don't really get a backstory on Selena and why she ends up in this situation. But I kind of like this mystery of not knowing how she ended up in this situation, because I think you find out about how she ended up in this situation in the Assassin Blades, the prequel novella that you can read first, but I've decided to read fourth because I want to read it in that order, and you can if you want to. If you're someone who maybe gets very easily confused, but then again, I'm someone who easily gets confused, so do what you do with that. But if you get very confused and want it like black and white on paper, how she ended up in the situation before she gets in the situation, maybe read Assassin Blades first. But I don't really know because I haven't gotten to that point, but maybe once I finish this and finish like all 4 books I'm reading in this reading vlog and finish Assassin Blade, I might have a better picture of what I think is the best reading order. I'll also say that there's a lot of things that are really hard to pronounce in this book. Again, it's probably because I'm dyslexic and I struggle to pronounce things anyway, like even normal words, sometimes I struggle. So it might just be that, but like all the names of the places, I can't pronounce any of them. I'm like, bleh, bleh. So that is not fun. And there's a couple of people's names that I'm like, huh? I did look up a TikTok on that, but still, it can't get into my mind. And it's not making the story, but like, well, no, not making the story bad. It's not making me like feel negative things about this book. It's just kind of annoying to me because I'm like, I just want to know how to pronounce them and I just want it to be simple and easy words, but quite a lot of the time in fantasy books it's not, so I just have to struggle through them. I feel like at the moment it's probably sitting in the 3-star realm. Like I said, it's not terrible. It took me a while to get into it at first, but I am slowly warming up to the story and the characters, and I'm interested to see where it's going to go. So I'm probably just going to carry on reading this. I'm hoping I can maybe get this finished by tomorrow, at some point tomorrow, at least tomorrow evening, I don't really know. So then I can start the next book, which would be, what is it? Crown of Midnight. That's what it is, I think. So I'm just going to carry on reading it tonight, and then I'm probably going to come back to you guys once I finish this book. Unless I have any other thoughts, feelings I want to say, then I will come back before, but I don't really know. What I should really do is when I'm reading the book, I should get a notes app and write down all what I'm thinking, because sometimes when I come to do these halfway check-ins or end of like once I finish the book check-ins, I'm always a bit like, what did I actually think? Because sometimes I think something and then I forget it because my brain is just full of mush and I can't remember things very well. So maybe I should do that, and it would probably be quite helpful for when I do halfway through check-ins and my final review. But anyway, that doesn't really matter about this. I'm just rambling on at this point now, so I'm probably just going to come back once I have finished this book. It's now the next day and I've now finished Throne of Glass, and I think I'm going to settle on giving it a 3.5 stars because I still feel the same as I did halfway through, but I did really grow to enjoy the characters, the storyline, and I'm very interested to see where it goes and to see what's going to happen next, because there's lots of, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger, but there's lots of things that could be happening and could go on due to what happened in this book. So I'm very excited for that. One thing I will say, I was kind of rooting for 2 people in this book to get together, but at the end they were like, no, we're not going to do it, and I was like, no, why? I was kind of upset about that, but maybe in the next books they might. And if you've read this series, you might know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say because I don't want to spoil it if you are going to read this series. but you're probably thinking, oh mate, they do or they don't, and I'm like, I really hope they do. I really do. But I guess I have to wait and see when I read the other books. And I did feel like I found some other grammar mistakes or spelling mistakes in this book again, where there was an S added on when I didn't think there needed to be an S added on to the word, and I was getting so confused. I was like, again, is this my brain, like my dyslexic brain playing on me, or am I really reading this and is it really not making sense in my head because it's not making sense and it shouldn't be like that? Or is it just my brain thinking that? I don't know. But there was a few more of those mistakes in this book, but that might just be me. I think why it took me like 100 pages to get into this book was because there wasn't that much action in the first 100 pages, which is fair enough, you've got to build up the world, the characters. But like once the action like happened, and all the action in the last probably like 50 to 100 pages, I was just sat there flipping the page, because it was so good. I was like, oh, this is so much fun. And I really did like that bit, all the action. So I'm now going to pick up the next book in the series, and it is A Crown of Midnight, and this is the second book in the series. But also, back to the first book, they were saying like places of names, and I was trying to look for it on the map, and I couldn't find it on the map. I don't know if it's because the map's just so confusing. Let me show you the map. It's very intricate, the map. I don't know if you can see that well, but it's very intricate, and I couldn't find a lot of places that were mentioned, and I was like, what are they talking about? I was a bit confused on that, but maybe when I read Assassin's Blade, that will like even it all out for me. But I kind of like being confused sometimes, not all the time. Some fantasy books I'm reading, like, I'm so confused and I hate it, but this one I was like a bit confused, but I still liked it. But anyway, enough rambling. I am now going to pick up the second book, Crown of Midnight, and I am probably going to come back to you guys when I'm halfway through this book. I probably can't really explain to you what this book will be about because it's the second in the series, and if you haven't read the first one, I don't want to spoil it, and I'm trying to make this like a spoiler-free reading vlog, so if you haven't read this series, you can still watch this video. But anyway, I'm just going to start reading it and come back to you guys when I'm halfway through this book. It's now the next day, and I'm not halfway through this book yet. That's how much I'm through. I'm probably maybe 30% of the way through, I'd guess. But I wanted to do an update now because I feel like I got stuff to talk about, and I don't even really know how to talk about it. But this book basically follows straight after the first book, Throne of Glass. It follows pretty much after that, and this book is much better than the first book in this series. But I don't know, there'll be moments when I'm sitting there and I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my god, this is so good, I'm really liking it, and I put it down to go do something, and then when I try and pick it back up again, I almost lack that motivation to pick the book up and read it. And I don't really know what it is, because there's nothing I'm really disliking about the story. Maybe it's just not grabbing my attention that much, and I feel like, especially because it's the second book in the series, when I'm on the second book in a series, like a fantasy series especially, I really want to be grabbed. I want to have it like my attention grabbed, and I want to be like so like obsessed, not obsessed all the time, but like wanting to pick it up and read it, if you know what I mean. But I just don't feel like that with this book or even this series. Maybe it's just a series, maybe I'm not going to be a big fan of it, but I'm struggling, really, I am. And like I said a minute ago, it's not a bad book, it's much better than the first one. It's just, I don't really know, maybe it's because I haven't gotten to the action, because I was kind of similar with the first book in the series. When they're at the beginning, it took me a while to get into it, and then when the action came around, I was like, the last 100 pages, I was just like flipping the page because I was really liking it. Maybe it's going to be like that for the whole series. Maybe at first, the beginning of each book, because there's not much action, takes a while to build it up, and then when you get to the action, I might be like that again. But it's really a struggle at the moment. Like, if you know me, I do not like stopping reading in the middle of the chapter, and when I put the book down last, I literally done it in the middle of a chapter because I was just like, you know what, I can't do it anymore. But I did listen to a couple of the chapters through like a audio book, so I'm thinking I might do that to try and get myself back. Not that I'm already not into it, but get myself more into the book, and then carry on picking it up. But of the physical copy, I don't really know. But it's not the worst, but this series isn't a favourite at the moment. It's sitting at like the 3-star range at the moment, this series. like I said, I know I'm only not even 2 books into the series, but the first book gave 3.5 stars. This book is probably sitting at 3.5 stars as well. I feel like it could have potential to be a bit higher, but at the moment I'm not getting the vibe. I'm not vibing with it really. And I feel like maybe for me, I need like a certain type of like fantasy book. And I don't think this is it. I think I'm more of like a romantasy person, and this isn't a romantasy, this is a fantasy with a subplot of romance. Like, there's been like kind of romance hints. Like I said in the first book, the people I wanted to get together ended up not getting together and being like, no, we can't do this, which I was kind of really sad about. And there's like hints at Selena with someone else in this book, and I'm like, I don't see it. I'm like, oh shit, this is the other person. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to listen to it on audiobook, and then I might come back tomorrow, see how far through I am tomorrow, and give you a little update of what I'm feeling, because I'm struggling now. When I first started reading this book earlier, I got back into it, and then after a while it just went down and down and down. But anyway, that is what I think of it at the moment. Like I said, could be worse, because it is better than the first book, but could be so much better. It is now the next day, and I am a bit further along in the book, and I'm getting more into it again. I think it's a feeling of, at first, I'm not into the book, but it takes a while for me to get into them, and I think I've already said this probably multiple times, I really like fantasies that just grip me from the beginning, and this isn't doing that for me. Not saying it isn't bad, it's good. It's just it's missing something for me, and I have a feeling it's that romance element. It does have a very small like subplot of romance, and something between 2 people just kind of broken apart because of something that's happened. And the thing that happened, I was in shock, but then at the same time, I don't really know, it's not really shocking me that much either. I am liking it more, and I did listen to that whole chunk from I think it was like chapter 20, and I'm on chapter 36 now on audiobook, just to help me get through it, because I need help going along. And I might listen to the rest on audiobook, because on Spotify it's saying I have like 4 hours left, and that is on if you would do it on the normal speed, but I do it 2 times speed, so I could probably do that in less than that. So I'm probably just going to carry on listening to it on audiobook. I should be able to finish it tonight, but I might just come back tomorrow morning once I've like had some time to sit and think about the book. So I did end up finishing this book last night, and I settled on giving it 3.75 stars because it was better than the first one, like I've already said, but it just didn't capture my attention at the beginning, like the first half. But the second half of this book, it was so good. And the thing that got revealed about the FMC at the end of this book, like jaw on the floor, I did kind of predict or kind of guess, oh, could this person, I'm not going to say much, but if you know, you know, but I did kind of think, oh, could that person be that? I'm not going to say anything else, but I was right. But I still loved it, and I was still shocked, and I still flabbergasted. But at the moment, this series isn't a top tier series, but it could be. By the time I get to the end of the series, I could be saying this now, and I could love it in the end. But at the moment, it's like middle of the road. It's not alright, it's good, and it's not terrible. So I'm now going to pick up the 3rd book in the series, which is Air of Fire, and I'm very intrigued and interested to see where this one goes because of how the last one ended up. Like, I need to just sit here, binge it, read it, figure out what's happening, what's going to happen, because I feel like the story's just starting to really ramp up at this point, especially how it ends off in the last book. So I need to start reading this, and I know there's apparently this book leaves off on a big cliffhanger, I've been heard and been told, but I'm going to read the Assassin's Blade after this book, so it'll be a bit of a while before I go into Queen of Shadows, I believe it is, which is a book after this one. But sometimes I'm like, I want a bit of a mystery, I want to be thinking about, oh, what could happen next. Sometimes I do love a good cliffhanger because it gets me gripped and it makes me want to pick up the next book, because I feel like sometimes in series, when there's no like cliffhanger at the end of the book and you've got more books coming up, it doesn't grip me enough to almost want to pick up the book sometimes, because I need that cliffhanger to want to be able to read the book, to be able to find it out. Do you know what I mean? Unless I love the series and love the characters and love the books, but if I don't love them as much, I don't have that almost that motivation to pick them up when they don't have a really good cliffhanger, if that makes sense. This is a little sidetrack. It's got nothing to do with Throne of Glass, but On Wings of Blood by Bette Bolan has just come out, and I done the Waterstones online event for it, so I got a little pin badge. Where is it? This is the little pin badge I got for it. And then I also got the Waterstones exclusive, but I don't know if you can see. Look at that. It's damaged. I was very upset, and the corner of that page, I don't know if you can see that. It's not bent anymore because I straightened it out, but it was like really like bent. But I was on the online chat on Waterstones, and they said if you do, because this is a Waterstones exclusive, there's none left in stock online. So what I asked, I was like, they said basically, if you click and collect it, because I live near Blue Water, and if you do click and collect there, because they have apparently some in stock if they do have them, I can go into the store and ask them if I can exchange it, and she's going to email the manager and everything. I was like, oh babe, that is so sweet. Like, you don't have to do that, message the manager to let them know, but I'm hoping that I can get an undamaged copy, because this damage isn't too bad. I was just a bit upset when it came out, because I've managed to straighten it out. It was very much more folded down like that, which was kind of upsetting to me because I read this series when it was indie published. Now it's trad published, and I just love it so much, and I really want to reread it to see if it's changed or what has changed about it, because I just love this series. It's like a dark academia, dragons and vampire fantasy book, romantasy book, and chef's kiss. Anyway, it's not about this book, it's about the Throne of Glass series. Also, if I have an update about that book, about the situation, I'll probably tell you tomorrow, because I'm planning on going tomorrow morning to hopefully sort it out. But it's not about that book anymore. It's about Throne of Glass, so I'm going to move on to reading the next book, and I'll come back to you guys once I've got some like first feelings and thoughts about this book. After the last check-in I done, I said I was going to start this book, and I did, but I only got 3 chapters in, like, no, not even, like 2 and a bit. I stopped halfway through a chapter, and you know what, I can't read this right now. So I actually put it down and read some other books in that time, and I've now picked it back up. I picked it up back up again 2 days ago, I want to say, and I am now roughly halfway through Air of Fire, and I don't really know what to think. Like, the story's ramping up, there's so many more characters introduced, and some parts I think I'm finding it a bit confusing. I'm thinking, what is going on? Who is this character? I'm just a bit, there's just so much information, so much world building, so much going on. I'm just a bit overwhelmed by it all, to be honest. It's not that I'm hating this, it's just, it's like the other books. I'm not hating it, but I'm not loving it. It's not a favourite. It's, I don't really know how to explain myself, but there'll be times where I'm sitting there, I'm absolutely loving it, I'm turning a page and I can't put it down, and then there's other times where I pick it up and I'm like, I don't really want to be reading this, I don't want to pick it up. And the majority of this book so far, I have been listening to it on audiobook on Spotify, because I have a couple hours left of my Spotify premium listening hours for the month, and that is how I'm getting through this book. I think so far at least the second book is my favourite. Crown of Midnight, is it? Yeah, I think that's the second book. I can't honestly remember because my memory's so bad, but this is probably better than Throne of Glass, but not as good as the second book, Crown of Midnight, I think. But that all could change at the end, because I don't know if I already said this, I've seen on social media that people say there's this like big cliffhanger at the end of this book, so I'm very intrigued to see what that is and to see if it will make me want to pick up the next book straight away or what. But I'm picking up Assassin's Blade next off this one. I'm just probably going to say I don't think this series is for me personally. I will definitely finish this book, I'll definitely finish Assassin's Blade for this reading vlog, but if I will carry on with the rest of the series, I don't know, I might. And if I do, I will do another reading vlog on that as like a part 2. But I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it for me if it's not going to be a series that I'm absolutely loving. If like finishing the series Do you know what I mean? Because if I don't love it, why am I going to go through another, like, what is it, 4 more books after this, I think, and one of them's 1,000 pages long. I'm like, if I'm not going to, like, love it and it's just like a alright series, why am I not wasting my time reading it? Because I'm sure it was really good, but just reading that when I could read other books that I'm probably going to enjoy more, if that makes sense. I literally just kicked my camera, well, my tripod, so the angle's changed slightly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on reading this book, and I'm probably going to come back to you guys once I've finished it. I have now finished this book. I believe I checked in yesterday with you guys, and I literally could have sat there yesterday and just finished reading this book, because oh my god, the last half of this book had me so gripped, especially the last 200 pages. I was just like, this is getting so good, the story's starting to get picked up, and I was just like, oh, I was just loving it. Like all the things that were happening and going on, and oh, I just really liked it. And it was kind of not slow at first. I just feel like it's taken me a while to get into this book and this series, but I feel like now this book is the changing point in this series for me, where I actually feel really invested in it, because Selena's character growth in this book is just so good. Like, I'm not going to say much because I don't want to spoil her character and her growth and all this, but from the beginning of this book to the person she's at the end of this book, I'm like, oh, she is just such a badass person. Like, she is just so badass. Because on the way to work this morning, I was listening to the audiobook, and I got to work early, so I finished it in the car before I went into work. And when I sat there, put it on my Goodreads, rated it, I put it as a 4 stars, but now thinking about it, I feel like it's more of a 4.25 stars, just because of how it ended. But one thing I will say, I liked Selena's storyline and all of that, but Manon, that character, I wasn't as interested in her storyline. But I'm thinking maybe because this is the first book that character's introduced into, so I'm thinking maybe because I don't know the character as well, I'm not as invested and not as interested in it as Selena's like chapters. Because you could say this is dual POV, because you get things that are happening to Manon and you get things that happen to Selena. So it's kind of, and they're not linked at all. Well, at the moment they're not. I don't know if they will be. But the things that are going on to each of them, they're completely separate. Nothing's connected. So I haven't been as interested in her storyline. But Selena's, oh, I was eating it up at the end. And I think I kind of sidetracked from what I was saying. I think, no, did I say it? I don't know. I'm going to say it again anyway. When I put my review on Goodreads, I put it as a 4 stars. I think I've already said it, but I'm going to say it again. But I changed it to 4.25, I feel like, because, I don't know, I just think it's a bit more than a 4 stars. Just because of that ending. I think I said it in this video that a lot of people said this book leaves off on a big cliffhanger, and it does kind of, but it's not as big a cliffhanger as I thought it was. Like the Onyx Storm, how Onyx Storm ends, the cliffhanger on that, and the cliffhanger on all the other Fourth Wind books, I feel like that's a bigger cliffhanger than this, to be honest. Maybe because I was more invested in their stories and I like their stories more than this one, but I didn't feel like it was anything. It was a cliffhanger, big one, but not ginormous, not as much as I feel like people made it out it was going to be. At least to me it wasn't. So now that book is finished, Air of Fire, I'm now going to move on to Assassin Blade, and this is like loads of short stories, like 5 short stories, and this I believe will give me Selena's like background and like everything that happened to Sam as well, because a lot of the time Sam is mentioned in the first 3 books in the series so far, and you kind of get hints of what's happened to him, but I believe in this one you actually get to see what happened to him, and apparently it's emotional, so very excited for that. So like I said, I'm going to pick this one up now, and I'm probably going to come back to you guys once I am halfway through this book with a little update of how I'm feeling. It's quite a few days later. I don't know when the last time I filmed a clip for this video was, but I finished this book a couple of days ago, but I just haven't had time to update you. And now just thinking, I haven't even updated my Goodreads, and I haven't even said I finished a book. But I have a feeling this is sitting roughly at like a 3.5, 3.75 sort of book, because it's not a slow book, it's just, it gives you a lot of information, and it just tells you basically everything that happened to Selena before she was like the events of Throne of Glass, and how kind of she ended up in certain situations in the Throne of Glass book. And the Assassin Blades, it's got 5 like short novella stories basically, and this book, it didn't have me as gripped at first, but when I got to everything that happened with Sam, I was listening to it majority of this book on audiobook, and those like chapters when everything was going on with Sam, literally I had tears coming out my eyes. It was literally just so sad and so heartbreaking, and getting to see why Selena is the way she is, you can kind of maybe understand her character a bit more, maybe understand things she's doing more, and I just loved getting that background of it. And I definitely would say this is a very much an emotional, like, the reading order I did read it in is very much the emotional reading order, because in fact this did make me cry. I guess maybe because I know Selena and know her character a lot and have kind of got a connection to her now, whereas if I read this book first, I don't think I would have had much a connection for her, and I don't feel like I would have cried if I did read this book first and then at the end when everything happened to Sam, because I didn't have the connection with Selena, and I wouldn't have felt as sad and sorry for her in a sense, I guess that you could say. But if you are a person who likes to go into like fantasy books, like knowing every single little bit of detail about the characters, maybe about their past, about different things like that, I would say if you want the facts, read this book first, because it will give you a lot of information about Selena and her character and like the things that happened in her past in this book. But if you don't care, you like a bit of mystery and you want to be emotionally like ripped apart, I wouldn't go that far, but if you just want to be emotional while reading the end of this book, I would suggest reading this one fourth and not first, because I did really like it reading this way round. But it all just depends on what sort of reader you are, because I've probably mentioned this in this video before, but it's very, I guess on some social medias, controversial on what way or what order you read this series in, especially this book. This is a book that everyone is like, no, read it first, read it third, read it fourth. Just read it however you want to read it. Do research, look into it, and decide which one's better for you. And I think this one was the best option for me, because Sam was just, he deserves everything. Like, I just love him so much. I feel like I'm going to settle on giving this book a 3.75, because the fact that it's like short novellas and stuff is really good, and the fact that it made me cry at the end is really good. So that is all for the first part of my Throne of Glass like reading vlog. I'm just going to go through each book and what I rated them. So the first book, Throne of Glass, I gave 3.5 stars. Then the second book, Crown of Midnight, I gave a 3.75 stars. And then the third book, Air of Fire, I want to say I actually gave it 4.25, or maybe it was a 4 stars. One of those. And then the final book I read was The Assassin's Blade, and I gave that 3.75 stars. And if you haven't read this book, I would say if you've read the first, second book or 2 books from this series and you don't particularly not get along with it, but it's just not interested in it, maybe give it another 2 more books just to see, because that's what I kind of felt. I wasn't as interested reading the first 2 books, but when I got to the third book, Air of Fire, and the way this finished, I am hooked now. I'm definitely going to be carrying on reading this, but I've got other reading vlogs that I want to read before I carry on reading this series. So I'm hoping to actually have the second part of this reading vlog in October, because this is coming out in September. So I'm hoping and praying that I'm able to read them and maybe upload it in October, but things change, so I might be saying complete lies right now, but I'm hoping to. That is the plan, at least. So that is everything for today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, and in the description below is all the links to all my other social medias, Instagram, TikTok, not that I really use TikTok anymore, Goodreads, Amazon wishlist, all of them are linked in the description. And in the comments below, put if you've read this series and if you liked it, if you didn't like it, and also what order you read, where you read Assassin's Blade in the series, because I'm just interested to see and like to see what everyone else like reading order is. And if you haven't already, do subscribe so you can see part 2 of this video that hopefully is coming in October, and I'll see you next time. Bye!